Hello, everybody.
It's 24-7698-DS. This is the plaintiff's motion for custody, parenting time, and domicile. Plaintiff is in the courtroom. She's in pro se. Mr. McAdams appears via the Zoom application. He's in pro se as well. Will both parties please raise your right hands?
Do you solemnly swear or affirm that the testimony you're about to give in this case is the truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth, so help you God?
So help me God.
Yes, sir.
Thank you. You may put your hands down. Ms. McAdams, what are you asking? I'm sorry, Ms. Stewart, I apologize. What are you asking?
I am asking the court for help. My son has managed to get himself into quite a bit of trouble with some of the local teens. He is not obeying by the probation stipulations, any requests at all. I have lost complete and utter control of my child. He continues to break house rules, probation rules, school rules on a daily basis, multiple times a day. I am asking for help. I honestly believe that sending him to his father is going to be the best course of action for him. They have better schools, not necessarily better, but schools with
Better schools.
more schools with programs for my son. I can't say better. I cannot say, because I
You did
honestly have to
initially,
say,
so
I did, and I
I'm
do
a product
apologize.
of these local
I am
schools,
very
too.
fond
So am
of
I.
Bad Axe High, to be honest, and they know it. I praise them every day. I can't do what they do, that's for sure. And there are a lot of wonderful people that are surrounding my son and helping him, but it's not enough.
What state is Mr. McAdams in?
Indiana,
Wasn't this the matter where there was a permanent PPO?
there was,
That was since removed.
correct,
Was that from the state of Florida?
yes.
Okay, so I do remember this. And I don't want to refer to the child's name, but isn't there an open case in the juvenile division as well? In other words, a DL,
I'm not sure what a DL is.
delinquency.
Um,
You mentioned the child is not following probation.
absolutely,
He's
Absolutely.
under the court system currently.
yes, and I have spoken with this probation officer. She understands what I am trying to do. The main
Is this
problem,
Ms. Levine?
yes, yes. And she's fabulous. She has offered support, advice around the clock. She has been there. My biggest difficulty is that I do have other children in the home who are suffering because of his actions on a daily. I love my son, and I really want a true success story for him. I want him to be successful in life. If he continues down this road, there will be no success.
So you're saying this would be in the child's best interest?
Absolutely.
When's the last time the child's been around father?
It's been about 8 years, unfortunately.
8 years?
Yes, sir.
Is there any communication between father and child in the past 8 years?
No. And honestly, it's a long story. And that is actually how I managed to get the indefinite injunction dropped. Because Mr. McAdams was wrongfully accused of a crime he did not commit. And I have to say
Is this
that
an alleged crime involving the child?
it was. My son lied.
Whatever happened to that criminal case? I'm assuming there was one.
There was.
What happened?
Unfortunately, Todd McAdams served 3.5 years in county awaiting trial. And finally, there was not enough evidence to convict him. So they offered him a plea, which he took.
What was the plea to?
I was 2 child abuse charges, which I do not feel.
Without any injury.
Correct, without any injury.
My uncle's got cancer, Your Honor.
Oh, excuse me, sir. I'll get to you in just a minute.
I am desperately trying to right a wrong. And I know that my son would benefit greatly. He needs to learn how to be a boy and swing a hammer, how to cut grass. He needs to learn that if you aren't in school, that there is manual labor out there. He needs to learn how to fish. He needs to learn how to be a boy. Right now, he is doing some really bad things.
How old is the child?
He's 14.
14. Before I go to Mr. McAdams, might be some jurisdiction issues here. There's a DL file. Ms. Schultz?
There
You
is
put your juvenile hat on for me, please.
there is an open companion file in terms of a delinquency action, Your Honor, that's currently not adjudicated from the informal court docket. So it would be either subject, my understanding is it's either subject to moving forward based on behaviors that are being reported by T, or it could be dismissed should the court be willing to grant the motion before that.
I don't have that DL file, do I?
We do.
I do, okay.
May I grab a tissue?
But because it's informal docket, it has.
You have any record?
I purchased it. I know there's a lot of background involved in the state of Florida. But I purchased the course.
Your Honor, if I may,
Go ahead, it's your motion.
just last week, the school called me. Mind you, I have not been able to hold down a job. I can't go back to school. I tried. I was in class with honors for the first time in my life. And I had to stop going to school. I have not been able to have friends. Most of them leave because of my son and his behaviors. I don't have family anymore that can help because he's that vile at times. And I hate that they called me last week and sat me in a room with my son, who told me he wanted to kill me and bash my head in. And they released him to my custody as he is sitting there in front of HBH and the principal, which, by the way, was not at the table, taking their markers and drawing the name or the word killers on his arms. They released him to me and my two younger children that day. I couldn't call my mom for help. I had nowhere to turn. And I don't want to send my baby away because he's my firstborn. Yeah, I love him. I do, but he needs help. Help here that he knows there's no repercussions. He knows that there's no limits and he doesn't care. He needs his other family that he hasn't been around. He needs to know that there are other people that care about him and that love him and want to see him succeed. And I really believe that his father can help him. He learns differently than other children. He has anger issues. His dad understands this because his dad they're not much different from each other. It's just one is older and more wiser and has already learned. I really feel like he would benefit so great from being around his dad. And I feel like he's been robbed of 8 years and it wasn't his fault. And I am trying, and I have already petitioned the courts for help. I have asked every attorney that was ever involved for help. And I'm not gonna stop until it gets right, because it was wrong. And I personally, as a mom, and as once a spouse, I feel terrible because it was my kid who lied. He was trying to be a man and protect his sister. But the person she identified was not her father. And that man is in jail on criminal charges for exactly that.
Mr. McAdams, your response.
Yes, Your Honor.
How do you respond to this?
Yeah, I'm more than willing to take care of my son and raise my son the right way, in a polite way, in a good manner. The school board has been contacting me and sending me letters and CPS. A Miss Colette Theed with the Child Protective Services, or Department of Health and Human Services has also reached out to me about the issue. And I'm very aware of his disabilities and his abilities. And I've been raising my nephew who has severe Tourette syndrome. And due to my plea agreement out of the state of Florida, when that case went up, my uncle has small cell lung cancer, brain cancer, stomach cancer, hepatitis B, and he has cirrhosis of the liver as well on top of that. And that was in November of last year when I was released on Thanksgiving Day. He was in the process of coming to get me, but about a week beforehand, he had to leave and go to the hospital when he found out that was when he found out he had cancer. It was 7 days before the Thanksgiving. So I took the plea and intends to get back up here to help take care of him, because that's where I was at the time to begin with when I was arrested.
So you're saying you took a plea only because of your uncle?
Yes, sir. Family comes first, sir.
I understand that, but what did you plead to?
It was just simple child neglect with no bodily injury, no nothing. And once a parenting,
how much time in jail or prison? Is it felony or misdemeanor?
I think it was felony. I was on unsupervised probation until a parenting plan was established, and my unsupervised probation is terminated. And me and Mrs. Krasinski, or Stewart, sorry, was just in court on October 15th and had the injunctions lifted, so I can actually try to reach out and get contact with them and everything. But I'm just waiting for this court date to see what it pertains to.
When's the last time you talked to your son?
I haven't talked to my son since 2016.
8 years ago.
December 13, 2016 was the morning actually it was December 12th of 2016 when I went to work at 4 o'clock that afternoon.
What were you charged with?
They were trying to charge me with lewd and lascivious on my daughter. And then when the plea agreement came through, they give me a plea of child neglect with no injury to anybody. And then on the day of the court date, they added my son as well on top of the deal, or on top of the plea agreement, while I had already accepted the deal. I went and accepted the deal, and when I said I accept the deal or whatever, so I can tend to my family and stuff because I was getting released, I sit in there for 3.5 years, Your Honor. I already lost a lot of my life, and it just was what it was. It's just like, how are you going to sit there and accuse someone of doing something they didn't do when half the time all I did was work? I put in 76, 78 hours a week doing heating and air conditioning for Power Air Conditioning out of Sarasota, Florida for 27 years. That's all I've ever done. And working is just my high ethics. I like being around my family. I like to work. I like to get things done. Then I shattered my leg in 2019 and I was down, disabled. I have 14 screws and 2 plates in my leg. I'm trying to get to work. I've got paperwork right here behind me with numerous Social Security disabilities that I've been dealing with for the past 5 years. Ken Nunny attorney at laws I've been dealing with since 2019. I've got all kinds of medical records. I have a whole book with itinerary sheets. I've got my medical records, everything. I've got my high school diploma records, my certification.
Did the state of Florida place you on any registry?
No, I'm not on. I don't have to register. It didn't pertain to.
I don't know. That's why I'm asking.
No, sir. No, I'm not. I don't have to register for anything because none of that was the case.
Okay. Let me ask you this question. Presume you're an 8-year-old. Let's see. I'm sorry, 6 at the time, and it's been 8 years now, and you're 14, and you haven't seen a parent in 6 years. How would you feel if all of a sudden you were just plucked out of one home, sent to your other parent whom you haven't seen for 8 years?
My son. From what I know is my son's been talking to my sister and video chatting with my sister and stuff that lives in Florida, and I live in Indiana. And he's been talking about me, wanting to get to meet me and be with me and all that stuff. And my sister.
I wasn't asking about what your son may be saying.
I can see that.
child.
I'd rather have the opportunity to get to know my dad. I'd rather be there with my dad. If I could be there with my dad, I would. My dad's dead. So if I could be there with my dad, I'd be there in a heartbeat. I'd get to know my father. I'd take every opportunity I could to get to know my father. I'm taking every opportunity I can to get to know my children, to be back in my children's arms, to have them in mine. I don't see that any of this was this is so fun. I'm sorry, Your Honor. It's just so unfair. It is. And it's just so unfair to me. It's so unfair to my children. That's the main thing that hurts me the most. It shouldn't continue like this. I do carpentry, framing, heating and air conditioning, electrical, plumbing, tile, drywall, everything you could possibly do under the sun. My uncles have owned contracting companies for years. And that's all I've ever done. I've been working with my uncle ever since I was 11 years old, helping him do portable signs with B&B Sign by Designs. I do stair lifts now on the sidelines just for a friend of mine that has got Hoosier stair lifts going. And that's what I've been doing. To help people in need.
Let's get back to this child though. That's what
Yes,
we need
sir.
to focus on. There was what I would call a permanent personal protection order that was granted in the state of Florida. There's an individual that was charged with lewd and lascivious behavior that sat in a jail cell for 3+ years. And there is basically a brick wall between parents based upon what I call this PPO, moving to another state, getting away from the individual, no contact for 8 years. And then all of a sudden, it just evaporates. I mean, isn't that essentially what happened?
In a way.
Pretty much, yeah. In a way, kind of, yes.
And I remember, court takes judicial notice of its own records. The plaintiff in this matter petitioned the court to have the PPO in Florida recognized in the state of Michigan, correct?
Yes, sir, I sure did.
And there was never any mention regarding the child, but Mom, isn't it true that you removed the PPO because you want the child to go with dad?
No, I removed the PPO because of a new discovery.
What's the new discovery?
They identified the wrong man. And my daughter drew a picture of where it happened. And at first, I thought there's no way this could be true. But that drawing is of my best friend's bathroom. I didn't move there until later, well after I had already left Todd. And the man they identified lived with us.
Was that individual charged?
Yes,
What's the status of that matter?
he is in Orange County, Orlando right now. 30 counts of child distribution of pornography. And
Involving your child?
yeah, my daughter was on his phone and his mother's phone. They call him Uncle. And at first glance, he looks a lot like Todd. I honestly have to say, that is why I dropped the PPO, because only you know where you've been. I never wanted to hurt anybody. I was trying to be a good parent. My kids said this is who hurt them. I went all the way, pulling every stop I could, went to court every opportunity I had. I never wanted him to see daylight again. And that's the truth, Your Honor, I didn't. Because not only did he hurt her, but he hurt the whole family. I was with him for 14 years. I grew up, he had every bit of me, every bit of good, every bit of bad. We fought like kids and grew up. And I hated him every day. I had a hard time with the kids. I hated him even more than I was struggling. I hated him every breath. I hated him. Because I had to go through it, and I had to go through it alone, and I had to pick up all the pieces. The problem was, if you go back through the timeline, my son hated his sister. He tried to kill her multiple times. He tried to commit suicide 6 times. You know how devastating it is as a parent not to understand why your kid just wants to die, and then he starts to hate you.
I want you to hold on to that. Court sua sponte is going to call Ms. Kelly. So would you please step up to the witness stand? Please raise your hand.
You solemnly swear or affirm that the testimony you're about to give in this case is the truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth, so help you God.
Yes,
Ms. Levine, if you prefer, you can be seated at the table or if you're comfortable.
whatever, yeah, doesn't matter.
Okay. State your name and spell your last name.
Kelly Levine, Leavine.
Ms. Levine, you are the one of the juvenile probation officers, correct?
Correct.
And we are discussing a minor child that is under your watch.
Yes.
And again, we don't want to mention the child's name, anything like that, but this child, how long have you been involved with this child?
Approximately about a year.
And the child's currently on consent?
Yes.
You've been hearing this. You know this child. Can you give the court any guidance or any understanding?
So I do know that he wants to go with dad. He is not happy here. He has voiced that from day one. He does not like his siblings. He has no respect for mom. And mom is not good at parenting him. She's tried. She has no supports here for him. He's now taking things up a notch where he has friends now that are inappropriate friends. He's experimenting with potentially drugs, alcohol, sexual activity. I honestly feel it would be in his best interest to have a change of placement.
What about the current file that you have?
Right now, it's looking toward, like it would go towards adjudication, but if there would be a change of placement of the juvenile, I would potentially close it if we could first make sure that once the juvenile transfers, he's involved in counseling, he's got school set up, everything is in place for the child to go with wherever he is moved to.
Do you know Mr. McAdams at all?
I do not.
You don't know his background or anything like that?
I just know everything that was expressed here about what injunctions there were and what I had heard when I talked to the state of Florida. And then everything is now apparently wiped away. I have not seen proof of that, but I mean, I've had no.
Well, the PPO is definitely gone. The file doesn't indicate that, but I don't know anything about these criminal charges. That's my biggest concern.
Yeah, I have no idea on the criminal charges of it. I wouldn't know, and I've never talked to Mr. McAdams.
Would you like the opportunity to speak with him?
I think it would be helpful, especially if it'd be necessary, if there is going to be a transition, we would need to make sure that things were set up prior to him can't just pick them up and go. It needs to be done appropriately with a smooth transition.
Right. Does it trouble you that it's been 8 years since there's been any contact between father and son?
I would say it doesn't. I see why there wasn't before, because there was it was an order that he couldn't do that. But knowing the juvenile, I'm not concerned that he wouldn't be able to just pick up where they left off.
I really appreciate your information.
Thank you.
It's a great help. I don't need to hear anything further on the issue at this point. The court is going to take the matter under advisement because under the DL file, I'm going to order that Ms. Levine set up an interview with Mr. McAdams. I'm going to ask her, and I know she's busy as all get out. She has many things to do, but I'm going to ask her to do some sort of investigation regarding the underlying criminal charges that were subsequently pled out. And this is no respect to Mr. McAdams. Mr. McAdams could be coming in as a concerned father. I don't know. But he's coming in as one way of looking at it. He's a concerned father that's trying to help his son. On the flip side, could I be sending the child into harm's way? I don't know. And again, I'm not judging it at this point. I don't know. But what I'm hearing is that I have a mother at wit's end, and I have a father that's willing to step up. But I need to know about this history before I send the child anywhere. So I'm going to ask for a recommendation from Ms. Levine based upon her investigation. Obviously, time is of the essence, because if the child's suffering or leading or going down the primrose path here, we need to strike while the iron's hot, because it sounds like this young man needs help, regardless of where he's staying. So with that in mind, Ms. Levine, do you know how much time it would take to set this up? Yeah, good question.
It's my only day here this week. So I guess can he call me after this hearing?
Mr. McAdams, can you call Ms. Levine after this hearing?
Yes, Your Honor, I can definitely call her as soon as we hang up. I got a board. I could write her number down right now.
989?
989.
Yes. I will not renotice the hearing at this point. I'll wait for Ms. Levine's response on it, and the court can issue a written order. I just want to make absolutely certain that this
I'm with
isn't
you.
child- That's all I'm concerned about.
Be safe, be well, sleep sweet, and much love.